scapula. I think we'll just label it and then I'll go and show you on the thing. That might be easier, okay? So first thing we would need to do, it is a weird looking bone. It is flat here and then it's not so flat here. So actually it's considered one of your flat bones, but it's not all the way flat, okay? First thing you have to do is figure out which is the front and which is the back of it. Okay, the front and which is the back, and that's kind of important. We used to also make y'all do left and right, but we've kind of given that up. It is kind of important. So the front of it is going to have, if you look on the little guys, actually let me go get one. Let's see if I can do this. All right, by turning around, so I'm looking at his back, and so the bone that we're looking at right now is basically your shoulder blade, right? So if this is the back side of it, it's got this like ridge, your shoulder blade, you can feel it, you can see it. But also if I look and turn him and look at his front side, okay, can you see, those of you that are closer to the guys, you might can see it better. This bone, the front of it is rubbing up against the ribs. Can you see that it would be rubbing up against the rib cage there? Okay, so because it's rubbing up against the rib cage, that's why if you look on this bone, hang this dude back up. If we look on this bone, let's go here. It's really hard to keep all this going. Okay, if you look on this bone, there is actually these little lines that are going across there. You guys with that bone, do you see it? On one side, there's like these little lines. On the other, not so much. On the other, it's got this, that's making up your back, your shoulder blade area there. If I turn it on this side, it's got these little lines, okay? These little lines are there because your rib cage was going up against this. Does that make sense? Your rib cage is there. So that's where these, so this would be the front or the back of this bone? Yeah, the line area is going to be the front. So that's going to be an important thing to kind of, because that's going to help us name this thing, that thing, figure out this. So it's important to figure out which is the front of this dang bone, okay? And so the front, easy to tell because it's got these little lines. That's where the rib cage would be. That is the front, okay? And then this is the back, and it's got this back that's making up your shoulder blade. That's what you feel when you feel back there. You're feeling that right there. Okay, that's the back. With that being said, and then you actually, we're not going to make you do left and right, but you kind of need to figure out how this thing would be in your body. Okay, so this one that I've got, you see this little thing right here? This little thing right here? That's going to connect to another bone. It connects to your humerus. So would this little round part right here be pointing in towards your body or pointing out? That's important for us to know. Do you think? This little thing. Give you a hand. This right here, this, you guys, I'm not gonna be able to keep you guys online that engaged with me. I'm gonna leave it what it is. If you choose to stay home, that's just gonna be it. Okay. So I've got this bone. We already said that this is the front, right? We already said this is the front because it's got those lines. So what I'm asking you, we know the humerus, this is a ball and socket, is gonna connect. Does that make sense? It's gonna connect there. So is this gonna be like here? Or is it gonna be out here? Does that make sense? Would this be medial in your body? or would this be lateral in your body? That little area right there. Look at where your other arm would be. Are y'all alive in here? My 12:30 class answer a lot more questions. You guys need to wake up. Ask yourself, here's the bone. It's going to be, you already told me this was the front, right? This is the back. So I need to know, is it this shoulder or is it this shoulder? I'm trying to figure out if it's the left or the right shoulder that I got up here. Okay. I'm your patient, by the way, so you should be able to tell me. Okay. So this is my left shoulder. This is my left shoulder. Okay, so see, look here. It's not, but let me show you why. Look at it for here. I don't know about your picture. Huh? Someone online said something.
It's the right shoulder.
It has to, this one that I'm holding up. Now, some of you may have a left shoulder because they build them all and they just throw them in a box. So some of you have a left, some of you have a right. The reason that's important, because look, if that was here, then this bone is going to be in the middle of my body. Does that make sense? So that little circle thing has to always be out. It has to be lateral. Does that make sense? It has to be lateral, because that's going to make a difference because we're about to name some things on it. Okay. So this little, it's called a fossa, and it's called the glenoid fossa. This little thing there, your humerus is attaching there because you have a ball and socket. So thank you online. This particular one would be this is my right shoulder. Now you're looking at me mirror images, but you remember you always have to say in terms of your patient anyway. So this particular one would be a right scapula. All right, so let's label. It's going to make a difference because I'm going to show you why it's going to make a difference. So on my picture, anterior or posterior that I'm looking at here?
Anterior.
Anterior. See those little lines there? That's what I was trying. You can feel them when you're here. You can actually feel them. This is I found some pretty good pictures. I saw a little line on these things. So these are why so this is the anterior. So that's kind of important. And so that's making up your back. This is the posterior view. All right, so this little area that I was showing you here, this little indentation here, this little thing here, and they're not real good on these models. On some of our old models are pretty good. But that is one of your ball and socket joints right there, your shoulder. That's why you can go like this. Okay, so that little indentation right there, I don't like the way that looks. Okay, that right there. Okay, you should be able to find it. You got these two little things going up there. That is called the glenoid, and I like the term fossa because we've already used the word fossa and it means an indentation valley. Or you can say glenoid cavity. Both are correct. Glenoid. I like fossa, so we're going to be looking at some other fossas. Or you can have the word cavity. I don't really like cavity because I use the word cavity for sinuses. So, are we okay so far? We've got anterior, posterior. Now, with that being said, we're about to label this side here. This is known as a border. Just this whole side here. And it's either going to be your lateral border or your medial border. It's a border. Where's this thing inside your body? This one that I'm on the picture here. Is this little guy here, that glenoid fossa, is it medial in your body or lateral in your body? Lateral. It has to be lateral, right? Because that bone's going to hang out of it. So this little area here is just the lateral border. You would put lateral border of the scapula. Because this is everything's going to be of the scapula. That's going to make you learn these dang bones. So on this side, if this is the lateral, look over here. I'm looking at posterior. Which one's going to be lateral on that? So again, this is that glenoid fossa, right? Same thing, it's just looking in the back. Glenoid fossa always is lateral in your body. So this is the lateral border. Does that make sense? No?
Only because I'm lost on direction right now.
You should be able to, you've got the exact one that's up there.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying, I know.
I'll tell you what, let's
like,
get
you turn
everything.
it around, I'll figure it out.
It's easy. Actually, this is easy. You'll just find that glenoid fossa, and if you're on the same side of the bone of that, it's lateral. Because the glenoid fossa always has to go out, because this dang thing is not in the middle of your body. So the glenoid fossa cannot be medial. Does that make sense? So wherever it is, doesn't mean if I turn the bone upside down, it still doesn't matter. On that side with the glenoid fossa is always the lateral border. We're just looking at it in the back here. It's still going to be on the
Oh, so
outside.
you're just looking at it from.
This
okay,
is posterior view.
Now I get it.
Yeah, this is your back view. This is the
Okay.
front view. That's why I labeled those first.
Okay,
Yeah, we just flipped it around. Same bone.
I think I was making it harder than it is.
So over here, if this is the lateral border, this would be the medial border. It's not letting me write. It does not like the letter M today. So let's see if I can make it. There. So the medial border of the scapula. That's not too bad, right? So then, let me pull this other page because I pulled some of these off of there. Yeah, I did. So down here where it's making a curve on both of these, where it's making a curve, so the bottom of that thing where it's actually making like an angle. And this is the bottom part of the bone. So this is actually known as the inferior angle of the scapula. These little, this rough area that we're seeing that's making this, so we're talking about this whole thing, this whole area here. What did I just say that was making that, probably that indentation? Mm-hmm. Those ribs. So this, because this is actually called the costal surface. Costal, another word for ribs, costal surface. All right, on the back part that I said is making up your shoulder blade that you can reach back there and that's what you're feeling there. Whoops, that is called the scapular spine. So right here where it's going on the back view. So let's see, I want to write that, I'll put it here. That is the scapular spine. We okay so far? We can find that on that bone? Scapular spine. That's one I wouldn't make you say scapular spine of the scapula. Why? Why would I not make you say scapular spine of the scapula? Because it already has the word scapula in it. Does that make sense? So you could just say scapular spine. So it makes sense.
So everything else we need to say like.
Yeah.
Costal surface.
And once you take that first practice, you'll see. And actually on the thing I put, the ones I want you to name the bone, it'll say, be sure to name the bone. And you'll know, right, it's just going to get you in the habit of recognizing a bone. Of course, nobody usually misses the scapula. I actually do have some students who will call this the clavicle. So it's nothing like the clavicle.